Welcome to a new Basket News show about fantasy and all things about fantasy. You probably wonder who those two guys are, so I think it should be a good way to represent us at the very beginning of the show. So I am Mindaugas Bertys. I work at BasketNews.com as a journalist. I write some stuff, I film some stuff, and now I talk about some stuff. And here's my beautiful partner, Katrina.
Hello. I guess I have to introduce myself as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any background in basketball. I'm not a journalist, I'm not an editor. My name is Katrina Mikiškaitė, and I'm just a huge basketball lover. For the past couple of years, I've been super into EuroLeague, and I was playing fantasy a lot as well. So I'm super excited to kick your ass this season.
Oh, you are not going to do that.
Oh, we'll see.
I can assure you that. So we will play a Basket News fantasy game throughout the entire season. What's the concept, you're going to ask? The concept is pretty simple. I pick my team in a budget mode. Katrina picks her team in a budget mode, and we compete against each other each EuroLeague week. Concept is simple.
Yeah, and we play point-by-point basis, right? So 34 rounds, 34 points, and we will figure out who the winner is after each round.
And there won't be a tie.
Oh, I'm sure, but not in your way.
You hope so. So I think without further ado, we should start with my team, which is a better team. Of course, it's a better team. I've been working in basketball for years.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that we don't know each other's teams, so we didn't plan this.
Nope.
And it was going to be a huge surprise for us to see each other's team. I think we will have some beefs and discussions, hopefully. Maybe some players that we both have in our teams. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Which player was your very first pick? The player you started to form your team around?
Honestly, since I created this team today, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking, which is kind of odd because every single season I tend to think about my fantasy team for like a week or more. But at the end of the day, I seem to get confused. So this time I just kind of started out with one player that I knew for sure I want to have, and it's a guard. And I made this decision because his teammate is not playing this round.
Oh, okay.
And it makes a lot of sense to have Lorenzo Brown in my team as a captain, and probably one of the best guards in the league, not probably, for sure. He cost a lot of money, but I think it's a good investment, especially for this round. And another reason is that they're going to play against Partizan. I think Maccabi will win, and they're playing in their home court. So yeah, that was my number one pick.
Okay. My philosophy was completely different. For me, the team, I began with a player that costs under 1 million. It's one of the cheaper forwards in the game, but he's going to outperform his price by a country mile, I think. And it's Chima Moneke from Baskonia Vitória Gasteiz. He's been tremendous in the preseason. He's been tremendous in the ACB league. He's scoring double-doubles. He's everywhere on the court. He's doing everything. And he costs only 650K.
I really, really hope that we will have different players, but here we are at the second, player to discuss. And I honestly have Moneke as well, but he's sitting on my bench.
Of course.
I totally agree with you about the bargain that it is. It's only 650K, which I totally agree. He will outperform and show his true potential. And as you mentioned about ACB League, recently he scored 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in the game against Bilbao, as I remember. So yeah, he looks tremendous. I think he will be great, and it's a great pick for fantasy for sure.
By the way, what's your team called? How did you name your team?
Oh, it's really, really, really simple name. I just created it, so it's called BC Katrina, just my name. Oh, simple as that. And what is your team's name?
You can't get any more simple than that, actually. My team derives from my connection to my previous workplace, and It's named Kakamega Homeboys.
Oh, wow.
It's a name of a football team from Kenya. It's it's a middle of the pack team. They were second some 3 years ago, I think, but it's from their logo. Their logo is absolutely wonderfully bad.
What do you mean?
It has 2 corn cobs on both sides. It has a stone in the middle and a ball, a football, which cannot be more badly cut out than it is.
Oh my God, now I'm really interested to see how it looks.
I think the viewers are going to see the logo as I am speaking, because it's wonderfully bad, I should say. so that's, I've been using that name for like 4 years on all my fantasy teams. It's dear to my heart.
Nice. Good story. Your team name definitely has a better story than mine, but it is what it is. It's not about the name. It's about the team.
Yeah, and it's a good team on my end.
Well, for now, I agree, but we'll see later on.
So you said you picked Lorenzo Brown as the captain of the team. I personally picked the player who will play against your captain and will defend against your captain occasionally. So it's Kevin Punter from Partizan Mozarbet Belgrade.
Yeah, I had him in mind as well a few days ago. But just the situation with Maccabi team made me choose Brown.
But Maccabi weren't that good in the preseason. They didn't look convincing so far.
I don't think that they showed their full potential, but with Lorenzo Brown and Baldwin, we saw last season what they can do. Brown's price, I'm not saying that he's like, let's say, gonna scale his value a lot compared to other players, but in this specific situation, home game against Partizan, Brown, I believe without Baldwin in the rotation, it's gonna be a pretty good, efficiency score leader.
It's solid logic, yeah. So, do you have Do you have 2 players from the same team? Any 2 players, or are all players from different teams?
In my starting 5, all of the players are from different teams. On the bench, I have 1 player that shares the team with a player from my starting 5.
That's
as my 6th man, I chose forward, and I chose Bonga.
Okay.
I think he is also a great value player. I think he's a bargain. Let's say 700K seems to me like it's definitely a good pick for fantasy, especially because he stayed in Bayern. He had an amazing game, I think, in recent BBL games. He scored 16 points, actually 5 rebounds, and did 2 assists, and played more than 20 minutes. So it was really interesting to see him. My love for him actually started in the World Cup.
Okay.
We saw him having solid role there, and I believe in him being a great player in current Bayern rotation. And since I mentioned I have 2 players in my total team, so I have in my starting 5, I have a guard from Munich Bayern.
Is it Andreas Obst?
It's not Obst. It's Carson Edwards.
Okay.
I think when I thought about this, I was like, it's gonna be like really intriguing pick or so on. But the more like I read news or like listen to people's opinions, a lot of people are now currently mentioning him as one of the, let's say, potential breakthroughs this upcoming season. And he costs only 900K compared to, let's say, Brown, which is 1.6 million. So I think I will get some value from him this season.
I have also 2 players from the same team, and it's the same team as Kevin Punter plays for. And the other guy is, I don't know if he's gonna be good, if he's gonna be bad. But I picked him because he's cheap, and he's been very, very consistently good before the EuroLeague season. Is Danilo Andjušić. Mm-hmm. He's only 500K. He plays consistently. He has been playing in the starting 5. In the ABA League, in the preseason games, he scored 20 plus points numerous times. So I think if he scores more than 5 PI points, I'll be happy. It's 500K. What more can you wish for?
Yeah, I think fantasy in general is like a good mixture of these type of bargains, let's say, people that are, between 500K to like lower, like 600K as well. And those superstars that, cost more than $1 million. And then you have a quite nice mixture of players to be sure that you're going to get some points. But on top of that, you still have some sort of expectation from your bench players to actually perform to a plus level and then gain more, money and value.
Fantasy is all about collecting, I should say, money in the first rounds, improving your team so that you can buy more expensive and potentially better players later.
And in general, did you struggle with your budget? I mean, did you had situations where you're like, I cannot get that because it's too expensive?
In the very end, I had to choose 3 guards and I couldn't really decide what to choose. So those 3 guards were Marcus Howard. He can score -8. He can score 38 in a single game. Will I get -8? I don't know. Will I get 38? I will be happy if I do.
That's exactly why I would never pick him, because he's just like, I mean, in terms of efficiency, he's just so inconsistent. He can score points, but his efficiency would be minus. So, I mean, it's he's a solid headache for me when I think about fantasy picks, to be honest.
He's the most fun player to watch in the entire EuroLeague when you have him on your fantasy team.
Well, yeah.
If you don't, you don't care. But if you do, you care a lot. And you watch Baskonia play and you watch them score 95 points and you are happy watching them score 95 points because they play arguably the most beautiful basketball in the EuroLeague.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the season will be great for him. Like, I hope so. Good pick, but it's too much of a headache for me. I thought about it. I really thought about it. But then
30.
I was like...
He's going to score 30.
We'll see.
Against Real. Who's going to defend him? Campazzo? No. Campazzo is not going to defend him.
We'll see.
There's no Nigel Williams-Goss anymore to defend him. Nobody to defend him. Mm-hmm. He's playing 30 minutes every game.
I get your point. I'm not saying I'm going to disagree, but I think that there's more, let's say, consistent players from who you can choose from.
How you define consistency on your team?
I mean, I think that my team will consistently gain efficiency points. I don't think there's going to be like big peaks in terms of how many points or big lows I'm going to get each round. But, we will do some swaps. We'll see how it goes. So, it's just the start of the season. We think we know what we're doing, but actually maybe it's going to be completely opposite. And, all of the predictions and things that we say is going to, just
or
crash.
An injury.
Yeah, injuries is another thing. Oh, I have 2 dudes on my team that injuries could be a common word to use while talking about them. But yeah, everything can come crashing down. So we'll see. I guess I can comment on those 2 guys that I mentioned.
Of course.
So yeah, it's both of them are in my starting 5 actually. So I have Siobhan Shields as my forward in my team.
I do as well.
Nice. Good pick. It means that we know something, right? Or at least for me, you are like a professional, journalist in basketball. So now I'm feeling good about my picks because you have the same ones.
We can be equally dumb.
Yeah, that's another thing. So yeah, I have him in my team. I mean, injuries, as I mentioned, you never know how it's gonna go. But watching him play recently, like in League A in Italy, he scored 22 points. He was a beast on the court. He did 5 rebounds and 7 assists, and he played 32 minutes. So if he manages to stay healthy and safe, and does like situation that happened last season don't happen again, I believe he's gonna be like a true monster in terms of forwards in the league. So yeah, I definitely chose him, and his price I believe is quite all right with 1.1 million.
And he was a beast in the Supercoppa against Virtus.
Yeah.
He scored like 30-something efficiency points.
Yeah, insane.
And him and Mirotic were the only 2 guys who were decently efficient in that game. A player who was more than decently efficient in that game is Tornike Shengelia, who's on my team as well, from that Italian league. I think he's going to have a rebound season for him. He's a solid player, always has been. He's 30 plus years old. He can do everything except shoot from 3 on the court. The best example, I think, was when he played against Alba in that preseason tournament. And Alba was leading by 15 or something at the half or in the third quarter. And whenever Tornike Shengelia stepped on the court, he looked like he was playing against children.
Yeah.
Like, and one, drawn foul, I cannot talk anymore. And rebound, points, he did everything. And it looks like he will be the main guy on the Virtus roster.
Oh, for sure.
And he's playing against Žalgiris. I don't know who will stop him on the Žalgiris roster. Roland Schmitz, he will try. I don't think he'll succeed.
Yeah, I agree about like picking Shengelia. I mean, he's the best dude in quite a bad team. Controversial
16th
opinion
on our power ranking.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
somewhere there.
yeah, it doesn't look that great. So in terms of fantasy, for sure, like who's gonna collect all of those points? Shengelia, right? Efficiency. He's been. I wouldn't say like he's been the most consistent player, but in terms of his season, last season, I mean, decent pick. I would agree. I don't have him, but if I would, I wouldn't be so concerned, about him not picking efficiency points. So, yeah.
And I'd have two bargains on my starting five on the first day. It's Mike Toby from Crvena Zvezda and Johannes Thiemann from Alba Berlin. Both under 1 million.
Yeah.
I think Johannes Thiemann is not wildly mispriced, but pretty seriously mispriced. And he's been collecting double-doubles almost every game. Towards the start of the EuroLeague, Mike Toby is the main center on the stacked, and I mean stacked Crvena Zvezda roster. Both under 1 million. Why wouldn't you pick them? I did.
Yeah, good pick. Actually, I was thinking about Toby as well. Thiemann as well had a great preseason games. I thought about Toby, but because I saw his stats last game in Abu League, and it was like, I don't know, 19 points, 8 rebounds, something like that. So it was really, really good numbers for the price that he is. I think he's 700K or something in basketball fantasy, which is insane. But then I made the decision to take Geoffrey Laverne as my center.
Oh.
And this is also
the name's synonymous with injury.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying about, having a couple of guys being related with injuries in my fantasy roster. I made this choice because I think I have this opinion that he's also undervalued. I wouldn't say that it's like some crazy, crazy bargain, but 1 million for him in SVL, where we don't really have a lot of, I'm not saying that they're like bad team or whatever, but we have...
they are a bad team, actually.
Well, I tried to be nice.
17th in the rating. No,
I tried to be nice here.
No. I'm the beast, you're the beauty in this in this show.
Nice,
I'll tell how it is.
So I was just thinking about the fact that he's going to be one of the main guys in the team in general. Of course, he's going to be, he's great in defense. And, we already know that. We saw him in Žalgiris before all of those injuries happened. And he was collecting really nice numbers. I think in Žalgiris, he averaged like 11 points. And, I watched a game against Monaco. In French league, and he even made a 3-pointer, which was really, hyped me up to pick him.
Matthias Lesord shoots 3-pointers in practice, and he makes them.
Yeah, but Matthias Lesord costs 1.8 billion, I believe. So it's almost twice. So then you have to,
it's Toby and Thiemann and some change.
Okay, I'm not saying your picks are bad. I'm just saying that mine is better.
Oh yeah.
So
of course, yeah.
And he played like solid minutes, 25 minutes against Monaco. And he scored 21 points, which was the most points made in the game. And 21 points also, who scored another 21 points is Mike James, obviously, in that game. I look forward to watching him and like fingers crossed that he's not going to break and he's not going to have those injuries. But for now, as much as I, try to come up with reasons why not to pick him for this price, I didn't come up with like serious ones. So I think it's a good pick.
The name of Yusuf Afal, he's gonna haunt you this season.
There's so many names though.
And John Egbono, that name is gonna haunt you this season.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I mean, that's your opinion.
So we had, I think, 9 players named each, and the last one on my roster is Jermaine Grant from Panathinaikos Athens. He's been playing solid minutes on Ergin Ataman's team, whenever a player plays solid minutes on Ergin Ataman's team, he's gonna do some stuff
agreed.
That's good for fantasy. So he's on my bench because he plays on the second day, and I will probably sub him in unless all of my players are really, really good, as I think they are.
I think most of them you just think that you have a good picks. But I mean, we'll see. We have the same picks at some point. So maybe we're, as you mentioned, we're both dumb, or maybe we're both genius. Actually, I didn't mention a lot of players in my team. In my starting five, I have Musa. Nothing to, a lot things to explain here. It was such a pleasure to watch him last season. They won. Real Madrid won the whole EuroLeague.
I was actually in Belgrade in that series against Partizan in both games. Yeah.
And how was it?
The game 4 was the only time I cried during a basketball game. That was tough
You're
to
a bit
watch.
Weak, huh?
Yeah, because that was the game I will remember for a long time actually. Because in comparison, before game 3, it was all hype. Near the arena, everyone wanted to buy tickets. Before game 4, tons of people wanted to sell the tickets because of that shooting at the Vladislav Rybnikar school. And people actually cried throwing all those flowers towards the court. And it was very emotional. And that was probably the first time I actually really, really honestly cheered for a team with all other journalists in the stand. It was probably the most emotional game of my short life as a basketball journalist.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds really, really cool. Hopefully I will have some sort of game that would affect me this much. I haven't cried yet, let's say, during a basketball match. But yeah, just talking about Musa, like last season, averaging 15 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, 2.6 assists, efficiency score of 16.2. I mean, great stats. He's staying with Real Madrid. They are by far, I feel, like the best team in EuroLeague. They proved to be last season. They have the full-on core of the same players that they had last season, plus Campazzo, which is just an amazing add-on, let's say. Amazing comeback.
He's pretty good at basketball, yeah.
Yeah, and against Barca, he scored 13 points, took 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 21 minutes performance. So I think he's like a safe zone pick. Of course, he costs a lot, but I think you have to have like a couple of those more expensive players that you're like 100% confident will gather those points. So I have Musa. And then on my bench, I mentioned Bonga as a 6-man, Moneka that we both have. And I have for my guards on my bench, I have Avramovic and Larenzakis.
Okay.
I think both of them are a bargain, to be honest. Avramovic costs 550K, and when I saw this number, I was like, I have to get him. Of course, I was affected by the performance in the World Cup. His defensive skill, the things that he did against, I believe, Shea Alexander playing against Canada. I think he grew a lot in this offseason, and in general, like for this price, I think he will have a role in Partizan. And I hope that he will, bring more value to my team. And commenting on Larenzakis, this decision is solely based on the fact that I watched that Super Cup situation. I don't really like to talk about it. I think that it was... I don't know how to explain it from Panathinaikos, perspective. It was really, really bad. But Larenzakis scored 20 points. He was amazing in 3-pointers. I believe.
You do understand that he's gonna get like 3 points the other game.
I know he's not like fully consistent, but I mean, I'm also watching this like pick from the perspective that he's Olympiacos is a bit different now. He's a guard, right? So they left. Well, not they left, but Slukas left them. So they don't have one of the most important guards in their team anymore. Another thing, they just recently got Brazdeikis, and I think he will need time to adapt and find his space and his room in the team. So I don't know. This could be a really bad pick. This can be a really good pick. It costs, Larenzakis only costs 600K. So I think it's worth to gamble. And after the Super Cup performance, I was just like, every single 3-pointer that he made, I was just like hyped about him. So I have him on my bench as well.
So what's your team? What are the 10 players?
So in my starting 5, I have Laverne as my center. As my forwards, I have Musa and Shields, and guards, Lorenzo Brown and Carson Edwards. On my bench as a 6th man, I have Bonga, Chima Moneke. I have Pradia from Valencia.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the only guy that I didn't mention. But, I don't really have a lot of insights from him. He's not like a player.
Pradia.
Yeah, exactly. He costs 300K. I checked all of the centers for the similar prices. I couldn't find anything better. He can play some minutes. I mean, he can.
He will sit on your bench.
Yeah,
eternally.
I don't know if he's gonna stay there for a long time, but I'm picking like a really, really safe choice here, I believe. And as my guards on the bench, I have, as I mentioned, Avramovic and Larenzakis. So this is my team for round 1.
The team that will lose. A team consisting of Mike Toby, Johannes Timan, Tornike Shingelia, Isaac Bonga, the captain, Kevin Punter, 6th man, Daniel Andjucic, Shavon Shields, Chima Moneke, Marcus Howard, and Jiran Grant.
Exciting stuff, right? We'll see.
Yeah, so we will compete this week against each other. Whichever team scores more gets a point.
It's gonna be my team.
Oh, no, I don't think so, no. So my team will get 1 point, and then we will probably come back next week or next month. I don't know. We will find out.
Maybe never.
Or maybe never.
Yeah. It was such a pleasure. I'm super excited for the EuroLeague season. Hope to kick your ass, as I mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah. It's a big ass to kick.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.